I'd never thought much about working at a restaurant, let alone one as prestigious as SFC Plus. My job as a waiter was unremarkable, filled with mundane tasks like serving wine, taking orders, and fetching the occasional extra napkin. But on one fateful evening, the routine was shattered, and I found myself entangled in a sinister web woven within the lavish walls of this illustrious establishment. The ominous events unfolded on a frigid, moonless night in the heart of winter. SFC Plus had the reputation of being the epitome of fine dining, frequented by the city's elite. I had always thought the place was a little pretentious, with its dimly lit dining rooms and richly adorned walls. The air was thick with the aroma of gourmet cuisine and hushed conversations, but on that particular evening, a disconcerting air of foreboding seeped through the ambiance. I'd just taken an order from a table of elegantly dressed patrons when I noticed her a woman seated alone in a far corner. She was an enigma, clad in a simple black dress that contrasted starkly with the extravagant surroundings. Her piercing, obsidian eyes held a sadness that seemed to reach out to me, drawing me towards her as if by some invisible force. As I approached, I realized that her table was set for two. The other place remained untouched, as if someone was supposed to be there but hadn't arrived yet. "Good evening, madam," I greeted her. She smiled, a melancholic twist to her lips. "Good evening. I'll wait for my companion." I nodded and retreated to give her space. As the evening wore on, I couldn't help but steal glances in her direction. Her solitude amidst the opulence of SFC Plus was both eerie and captivating. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her presence than met the eye. Then it happened. A man entered the restaurant, his shadowy figure looming large in the dimly lit entrance. He wore a long black overcoat that billowed around him as he moved. I watched as he approached the woman's table, a sense of dread crawling up my spine. Something about him was unsettling, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Their conversation was hushed, almost conspiratorial. I strained to hear but could only catch fragments of their dialogue. Words like promise, never forget, and forever drifted to my ears. The exchange seemed strangely intimate, and I wondered about the nature of their relationship. As I served other tables, my eyes kept flicking back to the mysterious duo. The woman's expression had transformed from sorrow to a peculiar mix of hope and fear. The man, on the other hand, seemed more enigmatic than ever, his dark eyes holding secrets that sent shivers down my spine. I was engrossed in my own thoughts when a sudden commotion from their table jolted me back to reality. Plates had been knocked over, wine glasses shattered, and the woman was standing, her face a mask of terror. The man was nowhere to be seen. Rushing over, I found her trembling and pale, her voice quivering as she spoke. We were talking, and then he just disappeared. I scanned the area, searching for any sign of the man in the black overcoat, but there was no trace of him. The restaurant's other patrons had fallen into a shocked silence, their eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. My manager hurried over, attempting to calm the woman while discreetly apologizing to the other diners for the disturbance. We searched the restaurant, the kitchen, and even the restrooms, but there was no sign of the mysterious man. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The woman, her fear slowly giving way to confusion and disbelief, eventually left the restaurant, escorted by my manager. As the night wore on, SFC Plus returned to its usual tranquility, but an eerie tension lingered in the air. I couldn't shake the feeling that something inexplicable had occurred that night, something that defied rational explanation. I replayed the events over and over in my mind, trying to make sense of it all. Weeks passed, and the incident at SFC Plus faded into memory. But I couldn't forget the woman with the obsidian eyes and the man in the black overcoat. Their encounter haunted my thoughts, leaving me with a nagging sense of unease. Then, one evening, as I was closing up the restaurant, I found a crumpled note on the floor near the woman's table. I unfolded it carefully and read the trembling handwriting. "You must believe me. He was real, and he promised me something I can never forget. But now, he's gone, and I fear he's taken a piece of me with him. The shadows in this place are not what they seem. Beware the darkness, for it conceals more than you can imagine." The note sent a chill down my spine. What had she meant by the shadows in this place? And what had the man promised her? The questions gnawed at me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being drawn deeper into a mystery that defied logic. As the months passed, I began to notice subtle changes within SFC Plus. The once inviting ambiance had grown oppressive, the dim lighting casting long, ominous shadows that seemed to dance in the corners of my vision. The air itself felt heavier, as if it carried secrets too dark to be spoken. One evening, as I was setting tables, I heard whispers, soft, haunting voices that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. They murmured words I couldn't quite decipher, but their tone was filled with a chilling malevolence that made my blood run cold. I looked around, but there was no one nearby. The whispers persisted, growing louder and more insistent with each passing day. I tried to dismiss them as tricks of my imagination, but they haunted my every moment, driving me to the brink of madness. Sleep became a distant memory, and I found myself consumed by a relentless sense of dread. Then, one night, as I was locking up the restaurant, I saw him, the man in the black overcoat. He stood at the entrance, his dark eyes fixed on me, a wicked smile playing at the corners of his lips. Panic surged through me, and I fumbled with my keys, desperate to escape the restaurant's suffocating embrace. But when I turned to leave, I found myself standing in the same spot, facing the man once more. It was as if the restaurant itself had conspired to keep me there, trapped in a nightmarish loop. The man's laughter echoed through the empty dining rooms, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. "You can't escape, my friend," he said, his voice dripping with malevolence. "You're part of this place now, just like she was." I didn't understand what he meant, but I knew I had to break free. I ran toward the restaurant's kitchen, hoping to find an exit, but the corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, leading me deeper into the restaurant's heart. The walls closed in around me, their ornate decorations twisting and contorting like grotesque faces. I stumbled into a small, forgotten room, its walls covered in strange symbols and eerie paintings. In the center of the room stood a table, set for two, with an empty chair waiting. It was the same table where the woman had sat that fateful night. And then I understood. The man in the black overcoat, the whispers, the oppressive ambience, they were all part of a sinister ritual, a dark pact that had been sealed within the walls of SFC Plus. The restaurant itself was a malevolent entity, feeding off the souls of those who entered its doors. As I stood there, Paralyzed by fear, the man in the black overcoat appeared before me, his eyes glowing with a malevolent light. "You see it now, don't you?" he hissed. "You're the new guardian of this place, just as she was before you. You'll serve SFC Plus for all eternity, and your soul will be the price." Desperation fueled my actions. I grabbed a nearby candlestick and swung it at the man, its flames licking at his coat. He screamed in agony, his form dissolving into shadows that swirled and writhed before dissipating into nothingness. With the man gone, the room seemed to lose its malevolence. I stumbled out, finding myself back in the restaurant's main dining area. But the shadows and whispers had vanished, replaced by a sense of quiet emptiness. I knew I had to escape, to break free from the clutches of SFC Plus. I ran toward the entrance, throwing open the heavy doors and stumbling out into the cold night. The restaurant's grand facade loomed behind me, a dark and foreboding presence against the city's twinkling lights. I never returned to SFC Plus. The restaurant vanished from my life, but the memories of that night continue to haunt my dreams. I often wonder about the woman with the obsidian eyes, and if she ever found release from the sinister pact that bound her. SFC Plus still stands, its opulent exterior hiding the darkness that lurks within. I can only hope that those who enter its doors are aware of the price they may unknowingly pay, for the restaurant's hunger for souls is insatiable, and it will stop at nothing to claim its victims.